Quadratic equations with complex roots. From your knowledge of algebra, you already know that the solutions to a quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a, b and c are elements of the real number set, are given by the formula x equals minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So this formula is given in our formula book. So if we have a quadratic equation, which is an equation in the form of an x squared, an x, and a number or constant, where the x squared, the coefficient of x squared is the a, the coefficient of x is the b, and the constant is the c, we can substitute the a, b and c into this formula to find the roots of the equation or the solutions of the equation. So we would end up with x equals something and x equals something. In this formula, we refer to the b squared minus 4ac as the discriminant. So basically what's underneath the root, the b squared minus 4ac, this part here is known as the discriminant. If b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, then the solutions or roots will be complex. So if you had a minus underneath your root, so for example if it was the square root of minus 16, if you were to put that into the calculator, it would tell you that there was an error, because technically you cannot get the square root of a negative number, because any number squared will always end up giving you a positive number. So for example, minus 4 multiplied by minus 4 gives us positive 16, because a minus by minus is a plus. And obviously plus 4 multiplied by plus 4 is also plus 16, because a plus by a plus will give us a plus. So it's not possible to get the square root of a negative number, because any number squared is always positive. However, we can actually get the square root of a negative number if we use complex numbers. Solve the equation z squared minus 6z plus 13 is equal to 0. So we have a quadratic because we have a squared, a z squared, a z and a number, just like if we had an x squared, an x and a number. So to solve it, we're going to use our minus b formula, our quadratic formula. And our quadratic formula is minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. The first term, the z squared, really has an invisible 1 stuck on there. So that's 1z squared. So the a is equal to 1. The second term has a minus 6 stuck onto it. The z has a minus 6 stuck onto it. So the b is equal to minus 6. And the third term, the constant, is 13. So c is equal to 13. So we substitute the a, the b and the c into our formula. So minus b becomes minus 6. And that b squared is again minus 6. Make sure you've got brackets around it. Very, very important, we've got brackets around it. Then we have minus 4 multiplied by a, and a is 1, so it's minus 4 multiplied by 1. And that's multiplied by c, and c is 13. So we stick on 13 with brackets around it. We have to use brackets because we're multiplying. And that's all divided by 2a, and since a is 1, it's all divided by 2 times 1. So once we've substituted into our formula, we start to tidy it up. We start to multiply out any brackets. So minus times a minus is a positive, so we just end up with 6. We bring down the plus minus. We bring down the square root. Minus 6 squared means minus 6 times minus 6, which is positive 36. And minus 4 multiplied by 1 is minus 4. And minus 4 multiplied by 13 is minus 52. And that's all divided by 2 multiplied by 1, which is 2. Next, we're going to tidy up inside the root. So we bring down the 6, we bring down the plus minus, we bring down the square root. And then inside the root, 36 take away 52 is minus 16. And that's all divided by 2. Now at this point, if you were to put this into the calculator, the square root of minus 16, it would give you an error, because technically you cannot get the square root of a negative number. So we're going to bring down the 6, bring down the plus minus, bring down the root, and we're going to break up the square root of minus 16 to be the square root of 16 multiplied by the square root of minus 1. Because 16 multiplied by minus 1 is minus 16, and that's all divided by 2. We bring down the 6, we bring down the plus minus. The square root of 16 is 4, because 4 times 4 is 16, and the square root of minus 1 is I. So this you'd want to learn off by heart. The square root of minus 1 will always give us I. So we stick it on to the 4. We don't add it on, we stick it on because these were stuck together. And that's divided by 2. So it's going to be 6 over 2 plus minus 4i over 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3, so that's the real part of our answer. And 4 divided by 2 is 2, so 2i is the imaginary part of our answer. So we end up with 3 plus minus 2i. So remember, we're going to have two answers because we have a quadratic. When we solve, we always end up with two answers. We're going to get 3 plus 2i. And we're going to get 3 minus 2i. So these are the two solutions to our complex equation.